What's up, Buttercup? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the review and short discussion on The Omen by David Seltzer and also the movie. I can't figure out if the book came before or after the movie. I did as much digging as I could, like 30 minutes, and then I just gave up, so I'm just doing both. It's a 2-for-1 video. I did watch the movie after I finished the book. The book I rated 4 out of 5 stars. The movie was boring. It was so boring. I barely got through it. It's like almost 2 hours. Wow, no, yeah, I'm not that interested in that particular movie. It was from 1974 or 76, something like that. But I know for sure that the book was published in 1976 because I checked. I was trying to figure it out about which came first, or maybe it was like both released at the same time. That would kind of make sense, but yeah, I can't figure it out. If you know, please leave it in the comments section because it's kind of eating me up inside. However, the book is better than the movie, and I think it would be funny if it was the movie released first and then it was so popular they made a book because the movie was just bland. Now, for the book, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because I did not connect with any of the characters, but the story was interesting and spooky. And then also the writing was a little too simple. At parts, I thought it was bland. Like, we're doing a lot of he walked over there, he sat down, that type of thing. Telling, not showing. But David Seltzer, I believe, writes scripts, so that could be why you don't really do that in a book, but you do that in screenwriting. So that could be just something he was trying not to do, but it just slipped in. Because I don't know, I think this is his first and only book. Maybe there are other movie adaptation books that he's done. I'm not 100% sure. But it does come out a little bit in The Omen at random parts. Not like it started in the beginning and then he got better. No, it was just in random section he had very beautiful but simple writing, which I'm totally for. That's what I prefer to read. And then it will just switch to Thorn went to the door, opened the door, went into his office, sat down, and then contemplated Jerusalem. The Bible. Like, I don't know. It was interesting. Does everyone know The Omen? The story? I hope so, because I skipped over that. Sorry. Oops. But let's just do it briefly, just in case. We follow the Thorn family, and in the beginning, we follow Mr. Thorn, who's in like the political sphere, and his wife, Catherine, and she gives birth, but the baby doesn't make it. A priest say that, okay, well, we have this other baby where the mother died, and you can just kind of swap the baby with yours, and don't tell your wife. And so, you know, that's accepted, and for 4-ish years, Damien's okay. Relatively normal in the book, and you can kind of see that it's pretty normal in the movie as well, until let's say the nanny jumps to her death during a birthday party for Damien, and that's when things just don't go well anymore. And he's the Antichrist. I think everyone knows that, but just in case you didn't, he is for sure, like, there's no doubt at the end of the book, Antichrist. And there are 2 other movies. I don't think there's 2 other books. I will look into that. I am intrigued that they went forward with the movies, and at the end, I was thinking Thorne wouldn't be able to do it, and he kind of didn't, but other people prevented him from killing the Antichrist, aka Damien. And I know that it's really hard. There was a lot of conflict in Thorne, and I definitely get it. But you know, hypothetically, in this world, there is an Antichrist, and there's Satan, and there's God, and all that stuff, and everyone is dropping like flies around you, and animals go crazy around him, and he can't go near a church without freaking out. And then, oh yeah, like that whole 666 on his head, on the back of his head. Yeah, there are some clues. But, yeah, Mr. Thorne, he does not get to ending the Antichrist, and we continue with the other movies, maybe the other books. They're on Goodreads. I was looking it up. It's a 3-book series, but it must be that they write the books with the movie, like a companion, which is a new concept. In the 70s, they were making a lot of movies that were horror books, like The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby. So this is like a new thing. Like, they did the movie, and then maybe they saw the success for Rosemary's Baby, Stepford Wives, actually, and The Exorcist, and they were like, oh, let's make a companion novels. I can see that. But there's a difference in the movie with the zoo scene compared to the book. The book was a little creepier regarding the zoo scene. In the movie, it's baboons, and they're in the car, like they're doing what is that called? Like, they're going through land with various animals. A safari? Let's go with that, people. I don't know. And then they get to the baboons, and they just freak out. And then, you know, Catherine and Damien drive off, and it's creepy. But in the book, it's way more violent, and I can see why they weren't like allowed, like morally not allowed, probably legally, even for the 70s, not allowed to have the monkeys go crazy, and then like they're banging their heads against walls and each other and all that stuff, that like a lot of the monkeys are just driven mad, and then they kill themselves, or like they kill each other as well in a fit of what is going on, because Damien is nearby and they can't handle being so near the Antichrist. But in the movie, you get the understanding that the animals do not like him. So what I think is interesting is that the animals, no matter what the animal is, except the hellhounds, different topic though, the regular animals, they completely just 100% know that Damien is the Antichrist, but the humans don't get it. They sense that there might be something a little off, but logically they just don't automatically go that Damien's the Antichrist. Like, it does not compute. But for the animals that are on like survival mode, they are kind of, even in the zoo, that survivor mode is kicked on because the Antichrist is nearby, but they're enclosed in the zoo and they can't run away, so then they go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And it's not a good sight. It's very sad. That's when Catherine, like, for sure knows that something's wrong, because every time Damien is around animals, other than this hellhound that's a Rottweiler in the movie, poor Rotties, they're not hellhounds, okay? But whenever this hellhound's around, he's totally fine. But everything else, mm-mm. And I feel bad for Catherine, even though we don't see her all that much. It's from the point of view of Thorne, but then it switches also to, is he a butler? Mr. Horton on occasion, and then sometimes to Catherine. So, and there's also Jennings, who's the photographer that follows around the Thorne family, and that's like a little weird at first, but at the end it is helpful, but he doesn't make it either. There's like, no one really makes it. Except the Hortons, because they leave. They're like, I'm gone, something's creepy right now. Something is not right with this house, with Damien, with this family, and at least they survive. So we have the Hortons that survive and Damien. Good for them. Maybe not Damien, but good for the Hortons. Awkward, yes. And then you learn at like the very, very end of the book and also in the movie that Damien goes to a foster family. I'm like, oh, well, open-ended. I kind of do want to see the complete and utter chaos that happens in that foster family because they have the Antichrist. And I'm sure, here's the setup, I'm sure that they're going to be like, oh wow, he's so traumatized that's why he's weird. But after a while, other things are gonna happen. And normally, this is what it's all about logically. You're not going to think that he's the Antichrist or like possessed by a demon or like maybe even like a psychopath. They're going to see a 5-year-old completely and utterly traumatized, and the symptoms that they could see, like instinctually see as pure evil like the animals do, they would just see it as he's completely traumatized, and he could be. Well, like if he was a normal child, yes. He's the Antichrist, no. Though, he doesn't really do anything bad on his own. He does help push off Mommy Dearest, and she falls and very much hurts herself. But his nanny, it's an evil nanny, Mrs. Baylock. Mrs. Baylock tells him to do that. And that's bad. Obviously, that's bad. But he didn't think of that. So I wonder, does he know? I don't think he knows. I don't think Mrs. Baylock tells him that he's the Antichrist. She just kind of like does weird stuff with him, with the Hellhound, and the Hellhound's around. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder at a certain point, like, when are they going to tell him? Hypothetically. Actually, probably not hypothetically. Maybe in like the second or the third book / movie, they would tell him. I don't know. There's more involved. But he doesn't actually just act up horribly. And that's where it's can possibly be confusing for the reader / the viewer of the movie. But then that is probably intentional because it's even worse realizing that he's the Antichrist and he's got to go. And that's a huge thing with Thorne because he's like, but he's not acting like the Antichrist. He's 4 or 5 years old, but he is. And that's a really internal struggle. And I do appreciate that. But I wanted a little bit more internal struggle from all of them. Well, like more so the Thorne family, because it's Jeremy and Catherine Thorne, and it's like that's the main characters. But at the end, you get a little bit more of that. Not too much. I think the ending was a bit rushed in the book. It is like 202 pages. and I wanted to see a bit more fight. It's kind of vague how Thorn dies, and I know how he dies, but it's vague. Like 1 to 2 sentences. I don't know. Maybe fight for your life a little bit more, but that's fine. I get it. Maybe the writer for the book didn't want to completely focus on Thorn and that struggle, but you see it in the movie. I mean, there's interesting choices for the book and the movie, and that's why the book is 4 out of 5 stars, and the movie was, I guess if you would rate it, if I would rate it, like, sorry, but 2.5 out of 5 stars. I don't know why it didn't work for me. It was just too long. There are points where you did not need that, or you didn't need to stretch it out more so than you did in the book. Doesn't that happen a lot, though, with movies? It's unfortunate. Thank you so much for watching my book review and discussion of The Omen, and also briefly going over the movie as well. I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay away from the Antichrist, even though he might be cute and a little kid. You don't want to end up like Jeremy Thorne. Bye-bye, and have a great rest of your day.